have been well trained.
No.
You don't have to carry a sword to be powerful.
I won't fail you.
Oh, do not.
I'm not afraid.
There is no try.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Chance Cube coverage of the 2018 World Championship of Star Wars Destiny. My name is Todd, and in this video we're going to be watching a battle between Mike Gem on the left playing eSabine, eEzra, and on the right we're going to have Andrew R running eHondo, eYoda. We actually were very lucky to see both of these decks in action in previous days, and today is the beginning of Day 2. And this is the first round of the Day 2 awesomeness. Mike on the left actually going undefeated in the previous day, which is super exciting. I'm sure he quite enjoyed being one of the very few people that actually went undefeated in their Day 1s. So should be really cool to see how both of these decks fare in this particular matchup. So on the eHondo side, we do see the Frozen Wastes out on the field. On Mike's side with eEzra, I do believe he is running the Outer Rim Outpost, my personal favorite, to gain a resource and draw a card. So now I am going to caveat this just a little bit. We see a Friends in Low Places right at the beginning. We see a hasty exit, a hyperspace jump, 2 ambush blasters, the X8 and the hidden blaster, and a second chance. So not a great opening for Mike. No removal there, but he does have the ambush action blasters to be able to put that onto speed. Now, one more thing. I started to say earlier I had a caveat. I did just come off of seeing Solo, a Star Wars Story, in theaters, and I actually have seen it twice now. I'll do my best not to give any spoilers, but I just want to give you my personal recommendation. This is not necessarily the Chance Cube's opinion. You know, I have to have that warning up there that the opinions and thoughts expressed in this do not represent the Chance Cube, and that's okay. They don't. I understand that. But I just, my personal recommendation is that you see it. I thought it was really good. I didn't have a huge expectation going into the movie, and it turned out really well. So I recommend, I definitely recommend you going to see it and forming your own opinions for sure. So, first round has come through. We got an extra resource for Ezra's die. We got some rollouts on the eHondo side. Didn't really see much. Got a reroll, and unfortunately not showing exactly what he wants, but we're definitely showing some damage. So we've got one Yoda special that can do some good. We do see a Yoda disrupt as well. So we see Mike roll out with the ambush action and hits a 2 shields and a resource. On Sabine's die, not what he's looking for. He's got Ezra at the +2, primed and ready to go. That ambush action could have really helped him out there, I think. So he does discard to reroll with his ambush action. And there is the damage. We see a hidden motive played out. It rolls into the shield, and so he did not have to remove it, since Andrew definitely called range damage on that Sabine die. Hidden motive being a pretty good card. It's a little bit better than Doubt, I believe. Doubt forces your opponent to reroll a die and then resolve it if able. If you doubt a Sabine die, sometimes that can hit the range side and just slaughter you. But Hidden Motive, if you say the range side, they actually have to remove it if it lands on that. So you kind of get what you want. You don't always get what you want, but sometimes you do get what you need. Sorry, my wife's been watching House, and that's just been stuck in my head for days. All right. Now, we do see that X8 Sniper on Hondo is a really awesome upgrade for him to have. It's not quite as good as Cunning, which is what you really want to see in your opening hand, but X8's ability to turn its die to any side by spending a resource is super powerful, especially since Hondo's ability really is his special. A lot of times nets you those extra resources, very similar to Yoda's die. So Mike goes ahead and claims the battlefield. He leaves a couple of Sabine dice out on the field, a shield and the 3-for-1 disrupt. So that's an interesting play, but he's not anticipating too much damage coming through this round. Removing the Yoda special was definitely a step ahead, I think. So we draw up into the next round. We see Andrew did discard a Determination. Determination can be very powerful against certain decks. It just depends on, it basically is a blank slate for whatever you want any of your dice to show, and it works really well on Hondo specials no matter what side he's showing. So very good card to have in that particular deck. We see Mike getting ready. He's got some resources in his hand. He is deciding whether or not to play a card. He decides to... Oh, I think he was actually deciding whether or not to discard any of the cards in his hand. He does not. He ends up with 2 hyperspace jumps, an X8 sniper, an entangle, and the other card that he saw last time. Oh, I saw it just real quick, and I for some reason couldn't keep it. A second chance, I believe. So he is hanging on to that second chance. Without running the recursion battlefield or having his battlefield in play, those second chances are very literally life or death on his side of the table. So he does not want to discard that to just to re-roll or to try to draw into something else. Those cards are definitely something that he wants repeatedly. Andrew rolls out, gets a Yoda special, a 4-speed shield, and a double focus on the other Yoda. So that's going to definitely work to his advantage if he can end up special chaining Yoda into the 4-speed and then doing the double focus to get some wicked good damage. Could definitely turn the tide of battle very quickly in his favor. We do have 1 damage on Sabine, no damage on eEzra, 3 damage on Yoda, and a full health Hondo. Interestingly enough, these decks are actually pretty closely matched as far as health. We have 20 health over on the Yoda Hondo side and only 18 on the Sabine eEzra. Surprisingly, Sabine eEzra being able to be so powerful, and we just see a huge amount of damage, just unmitigatable damage coming through. Looks like we saw 6 come through. Yoda sitting at 1 health with yet another Sabine die in the field showing a resource. It's a really good thing that heroes don't get access to bait and switch, because that would have been a knocked out Yoda. He instead decides to claim the resource, and Mike Jim has control of the battlefield and is going to be able to retain control of the battlefield in order to remove one of Andrew's character dice. He rolls out. He does get a blank on one of the Hondos, but he gets a special, and then he gets a focus off of the Verpine sniper rifle. I don't think we got to see the Verpine sniper rifle last time he activated, or the last time he played. I'm sorry. Looks like he actually may have played all in, and Mike had to decide whether to pay him. He did decide to pay him. He does a second Hondo special. Mike does have the resources to pay him. It's an interesting conundrum to decide whether or not to do it. He is going to be able to get for sure 3 damage out of that X8 sniper immediately. So Mike is looking at that saying, can I take the 6 damage into Sabine, or do I need to go ahead and pay the resource to block that? So it's still Andrew's turn. He is resolving the all-in and resolving the specials first. The all-in play was absolutely perfect. What a great card. Going back to the Verpine sniper rifle, it's got some pretty good damage sides, including a special which does unblockable damage. So while it's not going to do too much against the Sabine eEzra side, what that is really in for is to get through those Force Illusions and through the shield shenanigans that happen a lot with the Ray Ayla decks. So it looks like Mike did pay for the second one, I believe. Yep, he did pay for the second Hondo special, so he did end up only taking 3, I believe, onto his Sabine. We draw for the next round. I think I saw an easy pickings over on Andrew's side. On Mike's side, we do see the entangle both. Yep, so he is looking through his cards to see if he's going to do it. He draws the 1 card, didn't quite see what it was, but he is keeping both hyperspace jumps, the second chance, and the entangle in his hand, so he only ended up getting 1 new card, and he is keeping that entangle on top, I believe. So we overwrite with the X8 sniper onto Sabine. So we get that ambush action that we so desperately love on Sabine, hoping for Sabine to do the quote-unquote Sabine things. We get out there, Sabine does not. Sabine decides that she likes shields, resources, and disrupt. Andrew going through his opponent's discard pile just to see what's in there and what his opponent may still have in hand. Mike obviously only drawing one card this last time, not being great. Okay, so it looks like it was a truce on Mike's side that he was able to draw in this last round. He does discard to re-roll the Sabine with the ambush action that he had. And we see some wicked damage. Oh, it was 4 damage, and the easy pickings comes out. 1 in 6 chance on both of those dice to hit the 2s. He hits them, and Andrew just kicks those right out of the field. He pretty much has to mitigate all damage done, or all damage out on the field if at all possible. Otherwise, that Yoda is toast. Toasty toastness. Looks like we had a hyperspace jump. So he removed those Sabine dice, and Mike said, you know what? I'm not going to give you the chance. So he just hyperspace jumps, and now he's going to get that Sabine activation once again to try to kick that Yoda right off the field without any response. No matter what he does, absolutely no chance for Andrew to respond there. So sure enough, we just see the straight up Sabine activation. He did have a second X8 sniper. And there it is. There's the 1 range damage on the X8 sniper. Sabine's dice just not participating in that rollout. I will definitely mention, I mentioned, I think before, Andrew from the Destiny Council here, having the Yoda Hondo and both of them on the spot glass cards, or the spot gloss cards. I've only ever seen it in the other posts, and it's just not the same. So we see the Entangle. We got rid of the Loth Cat and Mouse, and we got a Hidden Blaster on top of the other hyperspace jump and the second chance. So Andrew, now knowing that Mike has several different options to end the turn or to extend the life of his characters. So we see a 1 range come in on eEzra, 2 1 range damage sides on eEzra. So Andrew over here, down a Yoda. We see the easy pickings on the eEzra dice. Fantastic. I do not think Mike has enough resources to hyperspace jump this time. Neither player has played out a Maz's Vault. I believe both of these decks may run it. Yoda Hondo, not guaranteed. Can run it, but doesn't have to. Yoda being able to gain resources off his specials, and Hondo's specials generally turning into resources throughout the game. On Mike's side, I believe that Maz's Vault is definitely a staple card in that deck. Being able to guarantee your hyperspace jumps, you're never telling me the odds, is a huge deal. So Andrew, I believe, deciding what he would like to do, or it could actually be, I think it might actually be Mike's turn. He's trying to decide what he's going to do. He does just take the shield to Sabine. Andrew getting the Cunning onto Hondo. That's the card you want to see. So Hondo completely loaded up with a Verpine Sniper, or Verpine Sniper. I think it's Verpine. But then again, I'm from the mountain areas of the world, of the United States anyway. We see a reroll. We see a hidden hidden motive. And Sabine rolling another shield and just taking the shield. Andrew now getting the chance to roll in. Unfortunately, the Frozen Wastes sitting there and being able to be used against his Hondo dice. I can almost guarantee that that's going to be the case. We see a 1 range on the X8 Sniper, a couple of resources on the Verpine and Cunning, and then double Hondo specials. Really not a bad die roll, but if Mike has no mitigation, which we know he does not have, he's probably going to claim and remove one of those Hondo specials. I guess he does have Entangle. I just don't know if he has the resources to play it. I didn't think he did, but he might. He didn't overwrite anything this round, and he hasn't played any of the cards, so I think he still has those 2 resources. So he could remove both of the Hondo specials, but that X8 could still get something, and that Cunning could still be re-rolled into something as well. Another good reason to... I thought the Verpine Sniper has a focus side. I believe it does. Ooh. Sorry if it doesn't, that might be my mistake. So being able to reroll at least to be able to hopefully get the cunning special, and if you could get the cunning and Verpine sniper rifle special, that could put Sabine at 10 health. And we have seen Mike before have a... Okay, awesome. Mike can definitely put out some really good damage on any character that he has in the field. So it's pretty awesome. We see him entangle a cunning and a Hondo special, and then resolve the other Hondo special. Interesting, he didn't want the cunning to be in play in case that Verpine sniper special was the one that he decided to go for, which I think he might. So he uses the X8 sniper ability to turn to the 3 and then deal the 3 damage. So we have a Sabine at 7 health. But we do know that second chance is in hand and can always be overwritten over the X8 sniper. Not sure how many resources he has going into this next round, but I think he, well, at minimum has 2, but he may actually have 3 from the last round. So we'll kind of have to see. No, he entangled. So I think he only has 2 resources at the beginning of this. Andrew over here just hanging in there really well, taking no additional damage that round. Onto Hondo, so Hondo sitting at full health. On the opposite side with Sabine and eEzra, Sabine at 7 damage and eEzra still at full health. So we'll kind of have to see how this ends up going. I think I see a Never Tell Me the Odds and a hyperspace jump, still holding on to that, and the second chance, Loth Cat and Mouse. So should be a pretty good round for Mike if he can just get those ambush actions off of Sabine, roll some pretty good damage. Sabine's ability is just bonkers. I think I may have mentioned this before. Some people had mentioned about taking away the word play out of Sabine's repertoire. So instead of playing a card from your discard pile, that you move a card from the discard pile. That would take away a lot of her synergy with the ambush weapons. But as I've thought about it more, I originally was against it because you couldn't use the DL44's ability because it's play a weapon. After you play this, the Hidden Blaster wouldn't work pulling it from the discard pile because it says when you play this, remove a shield. So a lot of cards would lose their really fun triggers on the recursion. But at the same time, recursion is definitely something that I know we've heard the designers of Destiny say that's not something they really want. And if it's something that does happen, they don't want it to be cheap. And right now, I think Sabine's recursion is extremely cheap when there are so many 2-cost ambush weapons. So changing the word from play a card from your discard to move a card from your discard onto this character would remove a lot of the ambush things and put her back where she was originally designed, which is to use thermals. So maybe we get to see that. So we see a Hondo focus, a Hondo special, a couple of blanks on the weapons. We did see an additional X8 sniper played onto Hondo over the cunning. He's getting a lot of money now because it's getting a little bit later in the game, and so being able to focus those X8 snipers into some major damage can be super useful. We see the second chance go down on Sabine, and that is his overwrite for the round. Now, Andrew deciding what to do. He does resolve the Hondo special. Unfortunately, not having the resources to pay, that means Mike is going to take all that into Sabine. We Loth Cat and Mouse, so we remove the X8 sniper on Mike's side, and Mike removes the X8 sniper on Andrew's side. So the snipers take each other out with the Loth Cat and Mouse. We see a discard to reroll, discard a force speed, no good on Hondo, reroll into a resource on the X8, and a blank on the Verpine sniper rifle. Verpine sniper rifle definitely being a pretty good upgrade to get out there. We see eEzra rolling in with his resource steal and a +2 range damage, so the resource steal could definitely come in handy since Mike has not been able to get out any of the Maz's vaults yet. And the +2 obviously can be really good if we can get that Sabine die to show some range damage. We see the focus on the Verpine sniper to the special. avoiding quite a few different removal types. So I think we see a truce in Mike's hand. So he does have the ability to get those resources. He steals a resource from him, though. Does 2 unblockable damage. Unfortunately, unblockable damage does not go through second chance. So Sabine is going to be able to heal that up, no problem. And then we see the X8 Sniper possibly with those 2 resources being able to be resolved for an additional 3 damage right here, which would be pretty big. Mike's hanging on to that hyperspace jump. He has that true, so I think he could probably get it out if he wanted to. He's eyeing it. He is thinking about it. He could definitely hyperspace jump to get a reset on the round and hopefully get Sabine's activation and get some damage through. It's been a really rough round, rough couple of rounds for Mike, not being able to get the damage that he really wants, but he is able to stay alive and keep going. We see the Frozen Waste claimed by Andrew. He is really trying to, I think, get ahead of Mike in the action economy. We see a defend, an entangle, and I think another light bow come out on Andrew's side. We see Mike draw out, and if you notice, if you watched any of the previous videos, you may have noticed that we did have one video where someone overdrew cards into their hand, and so you'll see Mike take one at a time, set it down on the table, make sure that there's only one there, and then pull it into his hand. The reason he's doing that is because if he does end up drawing too many cards, if he hasn't looked at it yet, he can take the card that he just pulled, the last card that he pulled up, which was the too many, and just place it back on the deck. But if he looks at it, then he's going to end up having to do some shuffling of a random one of the cards back into his deck. So he's very careful to make sure that he pulls it out, places it down, double checks to make sure that it's only one card that he's drawing, and then put it in his hand. And that seems to work out pretty well for him, and it's something that I think I might start doing, because I know just recently after I watched that game and commentaried on it, I ended up having to correct myself as well, because I had drawn 2 cards that were stuck together. So we see the overwrite onto Sabine with the second chance, really just trying to keep Sabine alive. And Sabine can do some really good stuff. I believe that Mike still has some resources that he can spend to get... Alright, so it looks like he did take 2 unblockable damage onto Sabine. This once again, that second chance is definitely going to still keep things going. We see him give a resource for the Hondo special, which he resolved at the same time. So now Andrew's sitting with 5 resources. I'm not sure if Andrew runs second chance. While it is a great card, it's not always used in eYoda Hondo decks because they really are trying to just get the damage out there as quickly as possible. Not obviously as necessarily as quickly as Sabine, but, you know, quick enough. Interesting that Andrew did not turn the X8 Sniper to the +2 to resolve it at the same time, but then again, he can always turn it to the 3-for-1 at any time. He has plenty of resources. I tend to get a little bit greedy and leave my damage out there a little bit too long and end up having to literally pay for some pretty wicked things that happen. So we see the X8 ability to turn to the 3-for-1. He is trying to avoid the easy pickings, I'm sure, because we haven't really seen that come out of the Sabine eEzra side. We do see an into the garbage chute, but I don't think you into the garbage chute Sabine, especially when you have the resources to place one of those ambush blasters on her. In this particular case, I don't know if Sabine only has 2 resources. I'm not sure if you play the X8 Sniper. While it is an excellent blaster, I think you might go for the hidden blaster instead, because it doesn't have any pay sides. Rather than the holdout, the X8 or the DL44, there are no pay sides on the hidden blaster. Yep, sure enough. I don't know if that's exactly why he did that, but that's definitely one of the reasons why I would do it, is if you don't have the resource to be able to pay for the sides that you see, then you should probably try to avoid getting the pay sides at all costs. We do see a 2 range coming in on Sabine with a resource and a disrupt, and so doing 3 damage to Hondo. This is the first damage he's taken in several rounds, but at the same time, that Sabine, while she has taken some damage, well, now she's sitting there, and both second chances are gone. So if Sabine gets hit, then Sabine gets hit, and that's it. Mike able to claim to avoid. Oh, there's the second chance on Hondo. This is gonna. Woo! Yeah, this game is heating up a little bit too. So Sabine does not have any recursion. Without any dice that can show discard sides, Rebel isn't really an option. But Mike could run Cheat in his deck to try to get some of those cards back, including the second chance. Andrew checking out the discard pile. Both players being very conscientious of what their opponent could have in their hand. All right, so we are seeing the into the garbage chute, and he discards it to move into the next round. I think he's kind of resigning himself to the Sabine getting knocked out this round, and so he doesn't want to into the garbage chute eEzra necessarily and then lose him immediately. I'm not sure if Mike is running holdout blasters. This would obviously be the opportune time for Mike to resolve the Sabine's ability by using a holdout blaster, which would then redeploy into eEzra and help out there. So having a little bit of a discussion on the different upgrades on the board and the order of play and all the wonderful, wonderful things that happen. So we do see 2 Hex 8 snipers and a second chance on Hondo, which is going to be a super powerful combination here. A lot of people are question whether or not to hit the eYoda or the Hondo at the beginning of the game. Mike chose to do the eYoda, and I'd say that's probably turning out pretty good. But those X8 snipers are really making a dent in Sabine, and if Andrew can hit any of the damage on any 4 of those dice without Mike being able to remove it, we can definitely see some big stuff. So we do see the X8 sniper come out. He rolls out and hits a ton of damage. How much do we see here? I think we saw 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So Hondo now sitting with 2 damage left. eEzra can hit that. If he hits the 2 base sides or a base side and a modified, he can absolutely take out Hondo and pop that second chance. We see Hondo roll out, hit a couple of blanks on his die and one of the X8 snipers. But then hitting a special on Hondo and then a +2 on the other X8 sniper. We've got plenty of resources. Andrew could turn one of the other X8 sniper right now to damage to the 3-for-1 side, just to see if he can get Sabine down and just knock her out of the game. He also could just pay the 1 resource to turn the X8 sniper to the base 1 damage, which does not have a pay side, and then resolve both X8s to knock Sabine out of the game without having to pay an extra resource if he's worried about resources, which I personally think that Andrew is in a pretty good place for resources. He's got 2 really good weapons on his character and the second chance right now. He probably wants to hang on to 3 resources if he can to try to keep that second chance on there. Now, I think Mike may run Vandalize in his deck. I think he does. And so I think one of the plays here would be to Vandalize that second chance, and then you've got Hondo by the ears, you know? But if he is not running Vandalize, or if he's not seeing it in his hand, then he is going to have to try to eat through that second chance. We do see, I think both easy pickings have been used on Andrew's side of the board. Mike is going through the discard pile. He's trying to make some decisions because while eEzra can hit that, it's not necessarily guaranteed that he's going to. So I think a little bit too quick. I was a little bit slow on the draw there. So Mike deciding to go ahead and just roll out the eEzra. And what do we get? Do we get the range damage? We do not. We get a steal resource and a disrupt, which actually can be quite detrimental to the eYoda Hondo player at this time. I think to avoid the easy pickings, I think if I were Andrew, I think I would turn the X8 sniper to the base side, either the 1 or the 3. just to get it out there and see and try to bait out some of Mike's mitigation. If he does have something like Entangle, then you really want to turn the X8 Sniper to the 3 side, because if he just turns it to the 1, then he could entangle both of the X8 Snipers away, and those are your main damage mitigation. We see a hasty exit to remove it. Okay, so he was able to bait out some mitigation out of Mike's hand. He does pay for the second one. We see the easy pickings. We see, I think I see that Vandalize and a Truce. Ooh, he does not have the character dice in the field to pop the second chance just right now, though. So we may see a knocked out Sabine. We do know that both second chances have been used on Mike's side of the board. Andrew is excited to be able to get that Sabine off the table. No redeploy weapons, so those resources will be gone. What is he going to do? What has he got? Does he have enough resources for a hyperspace jump? I don't know. I don't know. He has one character die in the field and could pop that. I wonder. Okay, so we see the Truce, and I think we're going to hyperspace. Yep. Truce and a hyperspace jump. He's going to be able to get that. He's going to be able to get that Sabine activation one more time. That's going to be super clutch, and could just take the game right now. Although what he could do is he could hang on to the Vandalize. I don't think he did. I think he did discard it. But if he hung on to the Vandalize with the ambush action he got from Sabine, he could Vandalize the second chance off, and then pay to get that X8 Sniper to the 3 side and take Andrew out. But obviously that's only if there's no mitigation. I see Andrew has the hyperspace jump in hand. Obviously not something you want to play first. But the hyperspace jump did give Andrew the battlefield, because Mike played hasty exit, which gave Andrew the battlefield control, and Andrew being able to roll out first now. And he does hit a whole lot of disrupt. I think we kept the easy pickings. I think we're going to easy pickings the disrupt on Hondo's dice. Yep. I'm pretty sure that's what we're going to end up doing here. And then I wonder if he does easy pickings the Hondo dice, I wonder if Andrew hyperspace jumps now. Because while the 2 disrupt doesn't hurt Sabine eEzra right now necessarily, those dice can easily be turned into some pretty good damage on those specials. So I think I see a running interference in Mike's hand as well. That's going to be really good if he can get off some Never Tell Me the Odds awesomeness. There are 2 options on that. You can use running interference or infamous. Running interference is usually used more often because it is a 0 cost. And while infamous is able to be used throughout the entire game, that one resource the infamous costs can really put a dent in your economy, especially early on in the game, which is when you really want to see infamous and get it out on the board. Mike really taking his time trying to figure out exactly what he's going to do, how he's going to end up playing this particular set. He's going through his discard piles, trying to see what he might have left in his deck, what he might have left to be able to play, and the kind of mitigation that he might still have. We know that one Loth Cat and Mouse was played. We do see the easy pickings being used on the Hondo dice. We see you pay the 1 to get the X8 Sniper to the 3, so that could be a knocked out Sabine right now. We just got to wait and see what happens. It is Mike's turn. He does have both of his characters in play that he could use. I see the holdout blaster there in Mike's hand, so if he can get that into his discard pile and then activate Sabine, roll out, even if he doesn't get anything, at least he's able to save the resources from the holdout blaster. He might be looking to see if he still had a holdout blaster. Yeah, so he's looking for weapons. He overwrites the X8 with another X8, drops 1 gun to pick up its copy, rolls out Sabine, hoping to get the damage, possibly to pop that second chance, and maybe even get Andrew within lethal. If he can do the packets of damage as well, he could end up really well. I think we see 4 damage showing, and so Mike is looking through to see what kind of other mitigation that Andrew has, really taking his time. This is day 2 of the World Championship of Star Wars Destiny. This is not a section where you can just, flit around and just kind of decide, oh, what do I want to do? Do I really want to do that? And hem and haw and not really think about what you're doing. But these players are both really taking their time, making sure that they know exactly what they're trying to do. We do see Andrew, who was able to focus the X8 to the 3-for-1, taking out Sabine, knocking her out for the round. And the second chance being popped off of Andrew with Sabine's activation. I think that was a great play. I know that Mike was really low on the options when it came to that. So we see another pay for the X8 sniper, getting that 3-for-1. This game is, personally, I think if eEzra can just roll a little bit damage, if he can roll that base side right now, or if we can get an upgrade on him that can have some really good base sides, we could see some really good things happening. The eEzra rerolls into the disrupt. We see the 3-for-1 go on to eEzra. Now, we are getting really close to time. And this is the time where we start counting up damage on the characters. So we have 11 on Sabine, 3 on eEzra, so that's 14 total damage dealt. And then we see on Andrew's side, we see eYoda and eHondo. eYoda being knocked out and eHondo with 5 damage on him, so 15 damage done to Andrew, 14 to Mike. So at this point, Mike is ahead in the damage race. Andrew, though, having those X8 snipers, we are going to see a dead eEzra this round. In my personal opinion, unless we get some mitigation. We do have mitigation in the easy pickings. Let's see what we roll out. We see 2 eHondo specials. We see 2 resources. Oh my goodness. I think he easy pickings the X8 snipers. If he can easy pickings those X8s, that's it. It's going to have to take another round. And so then he does do the 2 resources, or sorry, the 2 resources, the 2 eHondo specials on to eEzra, which is lethal. So Mike is going to have to pay for at least one of those damage. And the other issue is, I think he has to pay for both of them, or he ends up being behind in the damage race. Yep, sure enough, he does pay for both of them. We are getting close, really close to the end here. So this very easily could be the last round of the game. So we see the claim, and he removes the second eEzra dice. So there is no way for eEzra to kill eHondo right now. But it is definitely possible for Mike to win. If the end of the round is called, then that is going to be it. He discards to reroll eEzra. He's trying to get the extra damage. And time is called right now. Time has been called. And unfortunately, at this point, Mike can just pass, and that's pretty much the end of the game. So I'm definitely of the opinion if Andrew had one more round, I think he definitely would have taken that. But Mike did a great job. He just hung on in there. He got those second chances early and was able to keep Sabine in just long enough and overdid it. And that was it. So I think pretty soon we're going to end up seeing the handshake across the table, and that's the game. Congratulations to both these players in making day 2. Congratulations to Mike for continuing to be undefeated in the game. And I'm sure we're going to end up seeing Mike at the top tables. My understanding is that the way that the cut went, if you went 4-2 in day 1, you usually made it to day 2. If you ended up winning 7 games total between your day 1 and day 2, you generally made it into the top cut. It was very vicious, very intense. And both these players played extremely well. What an opportunity to be able to see some excellent players play against each other. I'm so happy that I was able to check this out. So we'll catch you guys next time in the next video. Bye.